They did aerospace, oil and gas, a touch of medical, D&D, or a DOD rather, not Dungeons and Dragons. That'd be weird.
D&D,
yeah.
Magic
the Gathering. Yeah, it was great.
The little figurines. They're building metal Dungeons and Dragons figurines. It's 20-sided dice.
Yeah, if you need that out of billet, we could hook you up.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Ruger, Secure It, Range Ready, Black Hills Ammunition, SDS Imports, and Ballistic Advantage. Hey, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, Dustin Wallace, welcome in, man.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Faxon Firearms. Yeah. I think that I can speak for myself that probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I had not very much knowledge about what you guys were up to. And I don't know if I just pulled my head out of a hole or if you guys were coming on strong with new things, but it feels like there's all sorts of things you guys are up to these days. And I think that, people listening, they're either in those two camps, right? They're either like, Faxon Firearms, what? Yeah. And then, or they just know you guys already own your products or something. So, like, what's the backstory with Faxon?
Yeah, so Faxon is a family-owned and operated business. So our founder and president, Bob Faxon, he and his brothers went into business together when he was really young. I want to say like Bob was like 13, Barry's maybe like 16.
Oh, wow.
And they had an older brother, David, that went into business. They bought a shop in Northside Cincinnati, really to do automotive work. And it was a business that was originally owned by Weichel Arms, which did like muzzle loader barrels.
Okay.
And so the kind of family joke was, well, if the automotive thing or whatever doesn't work, you can make gun barrels. You know? And then you flash forward like 40 years and, they ended up doing that. But the Faxon machining itself ended up taking off in a different way. So they started doing a lot of automotive OEM. They did aerospace, oil and gas, a touch of medical, D&D, or a DOD rather, not Dungeons and Dragons. That'd be weird.
D&D, yeah.
Magic the Gathering. Yeah, it was great.
The little figurines. They're building metal Dungeons and Dragons figurines. It's 20-sided dice.
Yeah, if you need that out of billet, we could hook you up.
That'd be the most expensive pair of die.
But and then in 2012 is when the Firearms brand kicked off because, and I've heard Bob say this a million times, like every wave hits ashore, and automotive was starting to go offshore, and that was the biggest part of their business. And so, they did want to make their own brand, and they did want to get into the firearms industry, but it was also they needed to keep machines running. You know, they needed a kind of a time and a way and a strategy to pivot. And so in the time that they kick off Faxon Firearms, they also started going heavier into the defense work. And so, now fast forward, 12 years and, Faxon Machining is off doing their thing with DOD mostly. And then Faxon Firearms has stayed the family-owned arm. So Bob has a foot in both camps. And then Barry, his older brother, our VP, does more of the day-to-day with our CEO, Joey, on site with Faxon Firearms. But still a great working relationship. We're just literally 5 minutes from each other.
It's
our
sister
shops.
companies. Yeah.
But when I first started 5 years ago, we still shared facility space. We were in the same building, so we were like one little kind of section of the Faxon machining landscape. And now, both needing space, both needing to grow, both doing new things, ended up growing and moving and shaking. But, Faxon Firearms started with the ARAK 21, which is our
that was the first. Yeah. That was the first one. Okay. And I mean, back before we'll get to the ARAK, and that's an important piece of the story. But you guys strike me as, and I said this earlier, you guys just make stuff. We know how to make stuff. We are machinists. Yeah. Generally, when you have the founders are like engineers, machinists, inventor type people. This is true for a lot of companies in our industry. Generally, the products are really good. They're really quality because the founder that's his bread and butter is making stuff, right? Versus, I don't know, like, well, I'm the founder is a different thing, or it's corporate owned or whatever, right?
Right.
Talk about like, you made stuff for the automotive industry. You talked about some of the other industries.
Yeah.
Aerospace, medical. Those are industries that we're talking about seriously tight tolerances, serious machining.
Yeah, very serious machining. And when we go over, for example, since they do at machining mostly defense work, they don't do sales and marketing like Faxon Firearms.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Right? It's a different thing. So every once in a while, though, they'll contract us over to go help them with something, if it's getting sales collateral together or whatever. And even when we shared facility space there, you would see these giant ordnance being made in the facility, like next to our barrels, next to firearms assembly, what have you. But yeah, that same pedigree spills over, so Faxon Machining started in 78 and there was no stopping. It's not like they went away and did software as a service for a while and they came back or something. So a lot of that sort of stuff stuck with them as far as the machining pedigree, the engineering pedigree, the quality, being a solutions type company. All that, stays true. And then we play off of each other sometimes too. We last weekend we just sponsored a car in the Xfinity series at NASCAR.
Oh, wow.
And while we're down there, a guy from Raytheon comes up to us like, hey, yeah, Faxon, and of course they're thinking Faxon Machining. So like you get all these kind of similar worlds that you end up playing in. But yes, you're right. As far as like understanding metallurgical processes, understanding, like, for example, we do mag particle inspection on all of our rifle barrels. That's something we brought with us, from Faxon Machining, as being a key component of our quality checks, that not everybody else does. And it's something that, it's a 100% check for us. If a barrel does not pass mag particle, it does not go through the rest of the line. So that's all the profiling's done, rifling's done, all that sort of stuff's done. You're about ready to send out for coding, but if you fail mag particle, it's out.
Wow.
So like some of those things on the quality aspect absolutely play through.
So let's talk about ARAK, because that's where it started as far as Faxon Firearms. And you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like an AK and an AR had a wild night during spring break, and they had this baby called ARAK.
Yeah, it's roughly the story.
It got wild, and now there's this ARAK thing.
Yeah, there were Zimas and Jolly Ranchers involved. No, it was so actually when they decided that they were going to do the firearms brand, they started going around to like trade shows and things like that, and ultimately thinking they were going to make ARs, just like a lot of people. And then you start going to these shows and you see like, man, there's a lot of people in this industry that are making really great products. That's the other thing. We're never really a brand that tries to push down on other products and brands in the industry. No, there's a ton of great people doing great stuff out there, and it's competitive. Yeah. And so, Bob comes home kind of dismayed, of like, oh man, this is, going to be a challenging landscape. What are we going to do that's going to make us different?
How can we stand out?
Right. And so he comes home and he's with his two sons, David and Robert, who's here with me today. And they're watching the Discovery Channel. They're doing the top 10 battle rifles of all time. And it comes down to the AK and the AR-15, and the AK wins out. And Bob does not like that. He wants it to be, an American, firearm. And so started sketching that night on their counter, the original drawings of the ARAK. We're actually redoing the whole ARAK manual and selling guide, and we're trying to find all those little pieces. We're going to kind of put that together as a,
because the ARAK
homage.
Was introduced and then it kind of went away for a little while. Maybe didn't go away. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but probably if you were looking around, you couldn't find them because it was just, you guys were making so many other things, but it's kind of been relaunched into the line. Yeah. It's available again. The
last time we were in this studio, we were talking about how we were retooling it and getting it back into production. And we actually started shipping again last fall. And so they've been going out. All the kind of your major online retailers have them.
So how do you describe the ARAK? So says, what is it?
So it's as the name would say, it's an AR-AK hybrid. Really, all of the magic is in the upper. So the patents, all the patents and everything is really in the upper. So it's a long stroke gas piston system.
Yep.
And it's, the whole idea is that it's a firearm that's going to work to the shooter, not the shooter working to the firearm. So things like a non-reciprocating forward charging handle, user adjustable gas, ambi controls. Like you could pop out the charging handle and pop it into the other side. You could charge both sides. You take out the bolt, rotate it, all toolless. You could eject either side, left or right. Easy caliber conversions. So you get a barrel assembly unit. Say you bought the pistol length 5.56, but you want to go rifle length 7.62. You just open her up, drop in the other BAU, adjust your gas, and you're off to the races.
Wow.
It drops on any mil-spec AR-15 lower.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it actually originally started as just the upper. Again, all your small lower parts kits and everything like that, as long as it's, mil spec tolerances, you're going to be fine. And yeah, it started as just the upper. And actually at the very beginning, it only had ejection on one side, and then you could choose either right or left. And then it was like, let's just open up both, and you could just rotate it.
Cool.
So you're able to do that in the field. Again, toolless, a lot of captive screws, things of that variety. So it's very user configurable. And, if you think about it, if you strip it back, and this is where like Bob's vision comes into play, he goes, if the AR-15 started with a forward charging handle, like it would have been a tough sell to do a rear charging handle. If you think of the ergonomics.
Look,
right?
I'm going to upset some people here. The AR is a good rifle.
Yeah.
But the charging handle on an AR is not user friendly.
Yeah. I mean,
like they'll say, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
You kind of overcome it.
Yeah. It's the
You're like, okay, I know how to do it now.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I mean, I watch, we run classes here, and I watch people who have owned ARs go through a class where they have to shoot 500 to 800 rounds in 2 days. They'll get there, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's why an ambi charging handle, I'm all about that ambi life.
Well, yes. you do that. And then also and of course we make a bunch of AR-15s and parts for AR-15s. ARs are great, and AR-10s, but it's just like, as far as having something that's unique, something that's user configurable, something that's robust, and long stroke gas piston systems run inherently clean.
Yeah. Reliable.
Very reliable. And the things that they did in the design for the bolt, even the recoil spring to reduce felt recoil and make it very linear, is all like, if you just go search Faxon patents, like give it a gander. Like it's pretty wild. All the pieces that are in there for the ARAK. We have patents on a couple of other things as well that's in our product lineup, and some that are kind of pre-release, but the ARAK was really what started that, and thus started us making barrels actually as well.
Okay. Gotcha. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and after the break, let's talk about the new stuff you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think of Black Hills as tactical ammunition, and there are a lot of special forces units that use it, but they also have Black Hills Gold. Black Hills Gold is handcrafted from the finest components, put through the ringer, tested rigorously, and in layman's terms, there's nothing typical about it. This is ammo that could be used for precision rifle shooting or hunting. They load a lot of different bullets because they're beholden to no one with the components they use. If it's the best one, is a Hornady for this one, or a Barnes bullet for this one, or something other, they'll do it. And they do a lot of different loads: 270, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 6mm Creed, 6mm ARC. They do even some of the weird stuff. Yeah. 338 Lapua, if you like to make it rain. Go check it out. black-hills.com, Black Hills Ammunition. Stag Arms, known for AR-15s, and especially they've got regular ones, and they have left-handed AR-15s, which I appreciate. But did you also know they have a lifetime transferable warranty? No matter what Stag rifle's in your hands, it holds their lifetime warranty. It's also 100% American-made. The rifles and components are made right here in the USA, and they have an infinite shot barrel guarantee. If you shoot out the barrel on one of the Stag rifles, they will replace it free of charge. That's standing behind your product. Go learn more over at stagarms.com. SDS Imports, I'm just looking at stuff that I like on their website and reading about it to you guys. The MAC 1014 Wood, Military Armament Corporation, MAC. They do these shotguns that I feel are iconic, kind of throwback shotguns, but they're based on a very proven, self-regulating piston design shotgun. So very reliable, ease of maintenance, shoots with a wide range of loads, comes from the factory with pre-installed Picatinny-style rail, 18.5-inch barrel, the Benelli mobile pattern choke tube system. So it's kind of an easy gun to just pick up and go shoot. And the best part is retail $429 on this gun. Looks great. It's got the pick rail up top, got the ghost ring sights on it. Go learn more at sdsimports.com. Ruger LC Carbine. They've got the LC Carbine in 45 ACP. They also have it in 5.7 by 28, which we just recently were shooting a ton of at the 5.7 Fest. Kind of two different things. 45 ACP, kind of low and slow, fun, chunky, boonk, boonk, boonk. Then the 5.7 by 28. That's a speedster, right? That is a rocket ship. So depending on what you want or need, they have you a configuration in the LC Carbine. It's foldable stock. It can be very compact. It's fun to shoot. They have magazines for it. So go learn more over at Ruger.com. Security Gun Storage. Now here's something that's kind of neat that they do. The Agile Quad Kit Pro, adaptable gun safe system. So it's the Model 52 and 40 modular fast access gun safes featuring their cradle grid technology that allows you to create your custom guns and gear storage. But it's all stackable. So if you wanted to line up your gun room or maybe your man cave or your shed, your gear, not just guns, but all of your gear, you can line it all up and store it in an organized fashion. You have to go check this out. Everybody who walks into our offices sees the quad kit, and they're always like, what is that? So go learn more at securegunstorage.com. So Dustin, Faxon, you guys have kind of grown. You did parts. I know you've done OEM work for people. Mm-hmm. Again, you're good at making stuff. You're making barrels. You're making all these different things. But there's certain things. We were filming with the FX7 rifle today, which is a really nice rifle, bolt action. But first off, that is chambered in 8.6 Blackout. Mm-hmm. Dude, you guys are one of the, I mean, I know 8.6 and Q and Kevin and all that, but like you guys are ones that said, okay, this is cool. We're going to do it. I mean, I guess, why did you decide to do it? Why is it so cool? Because you say it's pretty hot for you guys.
It's very hot for us, especially as a Wildcat cartridge. Even to have any new cartridge, even if it's SAMI approved on day one, you never quite know what the buy-in's going to be. Right. And so I think that was like a mixture of good timing. Now, granted, if you were to talk to Kevin or the guys at Q, they probably would have wanted it 10 years ago. Sure. But as far as when it ended up hitting during the pandemic and all that sort of stuff, and so the gun run was so hot and heavy as far as what people were buying and how people got into the fold and then were just kind of re-engaged in the firearms lifestyle and like wanting to do something new, something different. And this took a lot of things and turned it on its head, as far as like rotational energy not being just for stabilization, about imparting, energy on the target.
Yeah, let's get into that. So 8.6 Blackout, it's an 8.6, so it's a big bullet.
Yeah, so you're a 338 projectile.
338.
Yeah.
It's, and I guess going back a little bit, not to get into like the 8.6, welcome to 8.6 talk, but like Q, Kevin, he founded AAC, the 300 Blackout.
Yeah.
Which was a variation of a 300 Whisper. He was basically kind of working on cool cartridges that could be subsonic. Yeah. Right. And the problem or challenge for subsonic is to do anything useful with it besides hit targets. Sometimes the ballistics were not impressive. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's talk about like hog hunting or whatever, right? sometimes a subsonic 300 Blackout, you talk to guys who do a lot of hog hunting, they're going, yeah, it's okay. It depends. But 8.6, one of the neat things, you talk about the rotational energy.
Yeah.
We know we have to have rifling in a barrel to spin the bullet, to stabilize it like a spiraled football spiral. But people don't realize how fast a bullet is spinning RPMs wise when it comes out of a rifle. Do you have, I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of RPM.
Yeah. And especially
crazy.
Like you were saying, like some, you're talking about subsonics, being able to actually do something, right? Especially in shorter length barrels, suppressed. Those are kind of the sweet spots. Can you shoot supers? Can you shoot longer barrels? Absolutely. And it'll do amazing things. But as far as like intended purpose and where a lot of the wow factor comes from, and especially the people who have picked up on it, like the can companies that have picked up on it, your Huxworkses of the world and your Ruggeds and all these guys outside of Q themselves as well. Like you're behind these things at the range and it's like ear safe.
Yeah.
And these things are, taking down Cape Buffalo.
Right.
And,
it's ear safe and it does damage on target.
Yeah. And honestly, for the makeup of like an AR-10 or even a bolt action, as long as you have, the barrel that's going to do it, it's a 308 bolt face. It's a lot of reloaders are using neck down 6.5 Creedmoor brass. More and more companies like Milford Munitions and so on is coming along and actually making actual 8.6 brass. And then, but you also, said, on some of these new cartridges that they're supposed to do these whiz bang things and not knowing which one's really going to take off. And that's a competitive market. I mean, you have, the Federals and the Hornadys of the world and everybody trying to put their stuff out there too. But as far as a Wildcat cartridge to have the legs it's had for nearly 3 years of us, having, product on the market, it's pretty phenomenal, and still being predominantly a reloader's cartridge outside of any sort of SAMI spec, I think just goes to show you how unique, how different it is. And also too, like just the following of each company that is still making parts for it. Cause it does kind of go in the face of how we normally would make a barrel, right? So when
we got to talk about that.
Twist,
yeah. So that's part of the story here is the twist rate. And that's why we're talking about the rotational energy.
Yeah. So if you think of a 5.56 or even a 300 Blackout, if we want to get a little closer, a lot of 1 in 8 barrels out there. Now 300 Blackout, we also do 1 in 5 twist and so on.
1 revolution for every 8 inches of travel down the barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now you're tightening that up to 1 in 3.
And every 3 inches, the bullet has made an entire turn.
Right. And if you go to our website, if you go to faxonfirearms.com/86BLK, you'll see some bore scope videos and ballistic gel tests and so on. And it kind of illustrates that.
Okay, cool.
But if you go to you see us at SHOT Show or NRA, people love to pick up the 8.6 barrel and just look down it because to the naked eye, it just looks like threads. It looks so tight. And what I mean when I say it kind of goes in the face of what we normally do for SAMI spec cartridges is that we always want things like gas ports and gas length sizes and twist rates to be not only accurate, but most importantly safe. And
one of the things they'll say about that type of rifling is the bullet won't hold together.
Right.
It's going to be spinning too fast. It won't stabilize or something like that.
Right. And, or it'll just spin apart.
Right.
And so you have to have a solid or a really good bonded, projectile in order to make, 8.6 really work and to get it that fast. And if you look at the gel block test of an 8.6 round, same barrel length, same distance to target, between a 1 in 7 versus a 1 in 3, the 1 in 7, don't get me wrong, it's going to put some animals down. You look at the ballistic gel block and you're like, yeah, that did some damage. But then you turn it up to 1 in 3 and it's a whole other, ball game. And as far as what it's taking down and how it's doing it, don't get me wrong, it's not a PRS cartridge. It's not like that. This is, we use it and we market it in our brand as a superior, large game.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
I mean, it can be.
It's unique.
recoil is not that bad, right?
Not that bad, especially if you compare it to other, AR-10 kind of platform cartridges. But, it's supersonic. You could still get out to, 1,000 yards ringing steel. But I mean, again, not a PRS cartridge. And right now, since it's not SAMI spec, a lot of reloaders, a lot of smaller, ammo makers, some bigger guys are starting to pick it up. But, it's not as... it's not as like plug and play as sometimes people would think on like an AR-15. But I think for what it is, for being Wildcat and kind of being this kind of off the wall crazy idea, the legs that it's had, the performance that it shows, like it's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, certain gun guys, we have lots of the same stuff, and you always are interested to hear about something new. Yeah. And if you're a ballistics nerd like I am, you like this. You're like, wait a minute, how fast is it going? What's the size of the bullet? Just all that stuff gets to be fun. Let's talk about FX7.
Yeah. So actually good transition. You're a pro at this. Was the, getting into 8.6 kind of recalibrated us towards what might be possible for us in the bolt action realm. So we've actually made bolt action products for OEM clients for quite a while. And when we started the 8.6 Blackout project, with Q, we knew that we were going to have the AR-10 barrels and AR-10 guns, but we wanted to also have something for the bolt action platform. And so we started with Rimage style barrels. Yep. And then we co-branded an action with Stiller and did some kind of first release type guns and tested the waters. And as we got into it a little more, decided, hey, this is something we want to bring in house, and this is something we really want to put our stamp on and be able to make completely like we do with the barrels. We'll still get asked after 12 years in business and however many interviews and whatnot. We make our barrels from bar stock. We don't profile from blanks. We make the blanks. That happens in house, and we wanted to take the same kind of MO and apply it to the action. So the action body and the bolt is
a block of metal.
It's a block of metal. When it gets to us,
Wow.
And so. And true to form with the Faxon brand is, we want to be something that, we're not a bargain brand, but we're also not just like an aspirational marketing, brand. This is something that our products are attainable. We're not, again, going to be, the bargain buster, but for the quality of what you're getting and the feature set of what you're getting, and for the reliability, the lifetime guarantee, all those pieces have to come together. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we could make something that was feature rich that also fit that DNA of being a high value brand.
So yeah, it seems like you guys have been on this progression where, okay, we make barrels, we've gotten good at making barrels. Okay, now we are making, we made a gun, now you're just like, we've got the action, the barreled action, the full gun.
Yeah.
If you want to do that. So the FX7 chassis gun, right?
Yeah. So we have a chassis gun and a stock gun that's on a Magpul stock as well. But the FX7, we don't make polymer chassis or do injection molding or whatever. So we partner with the people who those are their core competencies. So the one we were working with today is the FX7 that's on an MDT, a co-branded MDT chassis that MDT did with us and did a remarkable job. Obviously, they make incredible stuff, and we wanted something that was going to be able to feel at home in a PRS situation. And then, the stock guns, great for more the hunting and the general bolt gun user. But, the whole idea is, is it feature rich? Is it something that we're proud to put a name on and actually have a value statement to make about it? So, 20 MOA, integral pick rail, integral recoil lug, 70-degree bolt throw, and again, made in-house. It's a 6 lug, so 2 rings of 3 design.
Why'd you guys do that?
So there's a couple things for it. One, it's the feel of the action. Some of it's just the smoothness of the action. Some of it's lockup on the bolt stop and so on. It also allows us to the Faxon started almost like 50 years ago. They were really well known for drilling deep holes.
Okay.
We could drill a hole pretty good. And so
we're good at drilling holes.
So if you look down in the FX7, there's actually no raceway. So the 6 lugs allow you to have the contact that you need with the ID of the action body to compensate for not having the raceway, which, depending on how you do it and the way that we wanted to machine it in our core competencies to keep that value up, it makes the process more cost effective.
Okay.
But it also gives you this smoothness in the action because it's literally just 2 pieces precision fit to be running in the body of the action.
Okay.
So yeah, a couple of reasons for that, but generally what you're going to, feel, especially if you come to a show or go see one at your local dealer, is just that smoothness of action. And we do it with both an Armor Lube DLC or a high polish DLC.
And you got it in 6.5, 308, and 8.6?
Yes. Currently, all your 308 bolt faces, it's a Remington 700 short action footprint. So all of your general hardware and triggers and stock options are going to work for those bottom metals and so on. So, and then we do rimmage barrels as well as pre-fit barrels for the FX7. So we've opened up the rimmage line a little bit more. We're making profiled blanks selling to the public for the first time ever. So that's been kind of unique of having a kind of an unfinished DIY project, leaving the facility. But you're right. The barrel normally kind of leads the way for us. I mean, that's where, outside of ARAK, where we made our name. And so, for example, when we did pistol comps, when we started pistol comps, the comps always followed the barrel. And so then it's become a thing of, now that the pistol comps have started to perform on their own merits, we try to make it that if we have a barrel for it, we have a comp for it. If we have a comp for it, we have a barrel for it.
And I'll say this. I mean, you guys are also making the pistol barrels.
Mm-hmm.
What an easy way to upgrade your pistol.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about, it's like a field stripping.
Yeah.
You take one barrel out, you put a different one in. Maybe it's a threaded barrel. Maybe it's fluted. Maybe it's a different color. And then also putting a comp on it.
Yeah.
The comps are awesome. It's funny. I've kind of been on this funny journey over the last maybe 5 to 10 years of, I used to be Mr. Stock guy. Everything is just like stock. Who cares? Whatever. It's fine. Just drive it, shoot it, play music, whatever the thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've gotten into be like, the more I play with, I'd call it aftermarket upgrade stuff, whether that's a new stereo in your car or whether it's a gun or whatever, you're like, yeah, this is better. Yeah. It's just a better experience. Well, I mean, the comps are awesome. They work.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And that was a big deal. And when we launched with it, I mean, tons of competitor, analysis as well. We were bringing in all these comps and putting them in steady rest and doing slow-mo and stop motion photo to, see exactly what recoil was like, what barrel rise was like, and making sure that we weren't overcompensating. To the point of failure and that we weren't just a muzzle end decoration. Mm-hmm. And also we wanted it to be tuned that people didn't have to do too many other upgrades to the gun. So as long as, and I always have to say this 99.9% of the time, as long as you install it on a Faxon, barrel or a factory threaded barrel, you're going to get a flush fit and you don't have to change your recoil spring or anything like that. Okay. Now, granted, you're messing with the timing of the pistol, right? Mm-hmm. So pay attention to the ammo that you're running. Pay attention to how heavy the optic is that you put on it, or if you have
all those things affect it.
All those things affect it. But you buy a Faxon pistol stock, you buy a Glock pistol stock, whatever. Or even more recently for us, we were very pleased to work with Smith & Wesson. We do the comp on their spec series. Yep. And they were very open about saying, that's a Faxon compensator.
Yeah, that's good.
And so so that's kind of taken off on its own merits, but it's the same way. The guns came after the barrels, the complete uppers came after the barrels. The only thing that kind of came first was the ARAK, and we started making barrels for it because we had to.
Yeah.
You're doing a prototype.
Yeah. There's no barrels for that.
Yeah. Like a unique proprietary design. And then you kind of get into this black magic of barrel making and understanding that there's such a market for it. And you had mentioned, ARAK seemed to go away for a little bit and all that sort of stuff. Well, the company wasn't all that old. We're talking 6, 7, 8 years, which for a business, as as someone who's been running businesses, for those things to maturate and really kind of take over, all of a sudden the barrels are just going, and then you get just were run through by the pandemic, and it's like
people are buying everything.
These last couple of years have really got us back to actually like making some new stuff. So the bolt actions, we launched 1022 items. We've, added more pistol comps, kind of flushing out some of the lines. And then the customer base changes too. Mm-hmm. So as you get larger and you see the needs in different regions and in different types of dealers and different types of wholesalers, and then just what the general public, is requesting from you. Like for example, we're a partner with Hornady on 22 ARC. So we have 22 ARC guns, barrels, and uppers. So
if the listener likes weird things,
we do a touch of the weird. Yeah.
If you're the guy in your group of friends at the range who can't just own a dang, 308, you gotta be like, no, I've got the new 6.325 millimeter by 97 goofiness.
We keep like a running list of all like the Wildcats we get asked if we make, stuff for. And I was like, I think at some point they're just making up names.
Yeah. Yep. 221 Fireball.
Yeah.
So as we kind of close this out, you guys do a lot of different things. What's your personal favorite product or gun?
Yeah.
Or maybe also something that's not as well known that you think is just really cool that you guys do?
Well, one really exciting thing, and you're right, it is hard to pick a favorite because I think I have one in every category, but one of the newest things that we're doing that I'm excited about is we launched a new line late last year called Faxon Outdoors.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get into that, but it's a whole nother thing that you can check out.
Yeah, so, and you could buy it at FaxonFirearms.com or you could go to FaxonOutdoors.com, and various dealers have already picked them up, but we started working about 2.5 years ago on having a soft goods line to kind of expand the Faxon name and kind of complement our products. But we also too didn't want it to piggyback too heavy. So it would have been real obvious for us to start with like gun cases.
Right.
But we opted not to do that.
These are like outdoor bags, waterproof backpacks, duffels, stuff like that, right?
Correct. So right now there are 3 products on the market. There are 2 completely IPX7 rated waterproof bags, airtight. That again, lifetime warranty on those, that we do as again, like its own brand, but also partnered. Mm-hmm. And so it allows you to do some different things and kind of hit some different areas. And even just, as far as like what dealers and what shops do you want to get into and what parts of the country do you want to impact? There are some of these things where, it's like the guns will get you in the door for the bags.
Right.
But the bags, in some cases, have gotten us in the door for the guns. But we're very proud of the product. We worked with some great people who helped us bring it to fruition. Robert Faxon has been, lead on kind of the product side of that. And I never thought we'd have like zippers and material samples and stuff like that in our office.
Well, that's what we were talking. And it doesn't strike me as a backpack that you put a Faxon logo on. Like you're showing me like these waterproof zippers and all this stuff going, you guys like really worked on this. Right. You didn't just buy a bag.
Yeah. It's not just, merch, it was a real product development. I mean, foam samples and different types of straps and different types of buckles. And like, it was wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, IPX7 rated waterproof. Like I flew here with my duffel. And if you go look at some of the promo videos and stuff and photos, we'll blow them up with air. They have purge valves, and they'll float. My brother-in-law is a wildfire fighter, and he always talks about how he hates it when he gets something from a company that says it's waterproof, and then he's out in the field for 4 or 5 days out west, and tankers come in. He's like, your stuff's getting wet.
Right.
But these things, they're submersible and IPX7 rated. We also have the 30-liter backpack that's waterproof, and then a 30-liter, more of like an everyday use, water and dust resistant backpack as well. And same idea, the idea of being a high value brand, lifetime guarantee, and something that is that complements the product, but also kind of stands on its own 2 feet, with the existing firearms product. So very excited to have that. Just launched right around Black Friday, so she's still pretty new to the market. But if you see us around the trade shows, that's generally what we're carrying.
And probably us gun guys, there's definitely overlap into like just good gear in general, whether that's duffels or packs or whatever. Dustin, thanks for being on with us, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you here. That's it for us. We will see you guys next time on Gun Talk Nation. To see all of Gun Talk's content, go to guntalk.com, guntalktv.com, or sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter.